Hi everyone, and welcome to our media training webinar for Food Day. I'm going to give everyone a minute here to log in, but thanks for joining us. And I wanted to let everyone know that this call will be recorded, and we'll be sending a link to the recording and a PDF of the slides out to everyone who registered. You can find all of our archived webinars at foodday.org/webinars and register for upcoming ones as well. If you have any questions or comments during the call, please feel free to type them into the dashboard on your screen, and we'll address them during the Q&A section at the end. So on our call today, I'm going to start out giving you a few introductions to our new media tools, giving you a national update. I'm a project coordinator with the Food Day campaign at the national office. And then we'll hear from CSPI's communications coordinator, Claire Politano, who'll give you a little bit more detail about how to pitch your Food Day event to the media. We're going to hear from Tim Stansky, who leads up the media team for Food Day Massachusetts. And he's going to talk a little bit more about their state-level media strategy, especially focusing on social media. And then at the end, we'll have some time for questions and discussions, and you can type in your comments to the dashboard, and we'll answer them and direct them to the speakers. So I just wanted to start out by giving everyone a little background on media that we've been able to earn for Food Day. In 2011, Food Day was covered by 216 local news outlets in more than 140 cities, including the Los Angeles Times, the Philadelphia Inquirer, the Boston Globe, Chicago Sun-Times, the Seattle Times, and USA Today. We had about 332 mentions on television, and we had some pretty great numbers in 2012 as well, and you can check those out in our selected press archive on the resources page. We also had tons of participation from bloggers, a lot aligned with CSPI as well as Food Day. So we're looking forward to even more media this year. And this gives you a sense of how Food Day really is a moment for the entire nation to focus on food issues. And it is a way for your local activities to plug in on a national level to the conversation that's going on around food. So we're excited today to present our new media guide. It's up on the website at foodday.org/resources in the media section. And you can check this out for a really basic introduction to how to write a press release, how to write a media advisory, how to talk to reporters, and more. And Claire's going to run through some of those things today on the call to give you a sense of what's in the media guide. And this is both for traditional and social media. You can find sample press releases for 2013 and sample media advisories to adapt at foodday.org/resources in the media section. And you can also find our national press releases, which you should feel free to adapt at foodday.org/press_releases. And I wanted to let everyone know to stay tuned for a thunderclap moment on social media. Claire's going to describe more about that. But sign up for emails if you haven't already by going to foodday.org and typing in your email in the top right corner. And we will be able to alert you of this thunderclap moment on October 24th. So it's important for us to have a national media strategy, but it's also important for you all to have your own media strategy for your events if you're trying to attract attention. One way that we can help you out with that and mention you in some of our regional press releases around the country is for you to post your event on our national map. Events around the country are happening on October 24th, but they're also happening throughout the month of October. So the sooner you can put up a placeholder or the final details of your event on our map at foodday.org/host-an-event, the sooner we can start to work that into our media plan as well. So I encourage everyone to go and register your events if you haven't already. And also, if you have something that's really exciting or especially interesting, you can email us at foodday@cspinet.org to give us some details about your event. Give us the who, what, where, why, when, and how. and we'll be happy to try to elevate your events in whatever way we can. We do have a national blog where we sometimes highlight events, exciting events that are happening around the country. We have social media outlets that Claire will go through later, and we have some regional press releases as well that Food Day sends out. So again, post your events and let us know what you're doing that's especially exciting. Now I'm going to turn it over to Claire Politano, who is our communications coordinator at CSPI. She's going to talk a little bit more about pitching your Food Day event to the media.
Okay, thanks, Catherine. Hi, everyone. Claire here. I am communications coordinator at CSPI, and I work very closely with the Food Day team on their media strategy and their social media strategy. For CSPI, I manage our social media properties as well as assist the director with traditional media practices, dealing with the press, sending out press releases, pitching our stories to the media, and so I'll tell you about the strategies I've learned from my time here that you can use to bring attention to your Food Day event. And I think Catherine did a good job kind of mentioning why it's important to spend some time trying to get press coverage for your event, because local coverage will amplify your message. If you're anything like us, you're a food advocate, and there are issues that you really care about in your community and maybe in the whole country that you're trying to bring attention to through your event. And so capturing press coverage will help spread your message beyond your event attendees to your town, to your city, to your state, maybe even the whole country. And hundreds of stories will appear across media outlets across the country on October 24th and leading up to it. And your event is part of that story. And together, all of those press stories are creating a picture that Americans care about their food system and they are initiating changes in their own community. So your event is part of a really important story, and the way that you can get it out is to get some press coverage for it. So when you're getting started thinking about press coverage, there are three things you'll need to get started. The first is your message. So this is Food Day's message. Food Day is a nationwide celebration of healthy, affordable, and sustainably produced food, and a grassroots campaign for better food policies. You are free to use that, but I recommend creating another sentence similar to this that's specific to you and your event. For example, maybe your event is related to teaching kids to cook, and you can say that you care about teaching kids to cook because home-cooked food is healthier, it teaches kids to take ownership of their life and their health, and gives them tools they're going to use for their whole lives. So another short statement like that, and why your event is going to accomplish these goals. Basically, this part, refining the message, is about telling your story, defining your story on your own terms. This is the core message that you want to take out to the world, that you want the world to know about why you're participating in Food Day. Okay, item number 2 is the hook. The hook is the statement that you will give to the media that proves to them that your story is important and worthy of coverage. So while the message is more about you and expressing yourself and your Food Day story, the hook is about communicating with the media why it needs to be covered. So what makes your event special? What is unique about your event? How is your event relevant to issues that the news cares about or regularly covers in your area? You have to start thinking like a journalist a little bit here and think about a perspective that will make them think that your story is imperative. And it is important, of course, but you just have to explain it in a way that journalists are going to respond to. It's really good to focus on your local story rather than the national story of Food Day. You'll definitely want to talk about that, but usually to local journalists, the local aspect of your event is what is going to be so compelling to them. So the people involved, for example, maybe the mayor's coming to your event, or maybe a school principal or a local business leader. That's a really important part of it. And just the critical features of what is unique and special about your event. It's a compelling story that's going to appeal to the news outlets that you think might cover it. And so the third thing is deciding what those outlets are. You have to build a press list. So here's some bullet points about what different outlets might occur to you as possibilities for publishing your story. Daily papers. If your town has a daily newspaper, that's definitely a place to go. Maybe your town has news weeklies. Usually towns have a few of these at least that are just for free, that have a wide distribution. Local radio, local TV, community calendars, and blogs. And so you need to start thinking about each of these specific items in your town. And once you have a list of the different outlets, then you actually flip open a copy of your newspaper, flip open the News Weekly, and look at the stories and try to identify stories that are similar to your story, and try to identify individual people, individual reporters who seem to cover issues related to your event or to your subject matter, to whatever food priority you might be addressing with your event. You have to find individuals that there's some evidence in their journalism history of covering similar events. That is the most effective way. You have to target someone specifically rather than approaching a news outlet broadly. Okay, so once you have refined your message, come up with a hook to interest the media, and then decided on your media targets, then you can get started crafting your materials that you will take to pitch your message. So those are two things. That's the media advisory and the press release. So a media advisory is basically taking your hook that you created and making it into bullet point form, making it into an invitation that you're going to be sending to journalists that will make them interested in coming to your event, or at least covering it. So you'll want to send that out about a week in advance of your event, and it has to include the five W's, right? Who, what, where, when, why. So who? That's you. That's your organization. Who's organizing this event? Who's paying for it? And who's coming? All of those are really important details. What is going on? What is the nature of the event? What is going to be happening during the event? Part of the what is talking about your visuals. This is very important for the media advisory. What about your event is going to be visually exciting? This is a big part of what makes, for example, a television crew or a photojournalist decide to come to your event, is that they know there's going to be something really compelling. And that might be a speech, a contest, some kind of demonstration, a cooking demonstration, a gardening demonstration, maybe an unveiling of a new space or a new restaurant or something new and exciting that will make a really interesting video or picture. So definitely include that. Where it's going to take place, be very specific about the address, any directions that are needed, maybe include parking information. Make it easy for people to find you. When it's happening, be very specific about the time and the time range the event might take place over. And why? What's it all about? Again, that's where you really throw down your hook. Why is this such a good story for them to cover? And we'll go over timing for the media advisory and the press release in a moment, timeline for pitching. Be sure to include your contact information, your phone number, and your email address, and maybe even Twitter handle if you have it, and make sure that you have that phone available to respond to in case someone's calling. It's a good idea to put down your cell phone. And again, highlight any VIPs that are coming. That's very important. Any local celebrities, local chefs, business owners, politicians, that's going to be critical information too for the journalist to decide if it's worth covering for them or not. Okay, and so the press release, second thing you'll want to prepare, this is more like a one-page document. It can be 1 or 2 pages, but it's good to keep it relatively brief. This is basically your ideal story if you were able to write a news article about your event and then place it in the newspaper. This is like you're writing the news story for the reporters, because you want to make their job easy. And the easier it is for them to cover your event, the more likely they are to do it. So it's going to tell a story. You're going to have an introductory paragraph that covers that who, what, when, where, why, all the details. You're going to talk about your event more in a narrative form. Include important facts, statistics about the food issue that you're covering, any other important details. It's a great idea to include a quote from an important person that is involved with the event. So that might just be a quote from you, the coordinator, or it might be a quote from the mayor or from the school principal or any other important local figure involved with your event. And you have to get permission from them. You have to ask them for a quote. And it's perfectly okay to suggest a quote. You can kind of write up your ideal quote and then show it to that person or their staff, and then they can approve that or make changes to it. That's another way. That just makes it easy for the person being quoted to agree to being quoted. So that's another little trick to move things along. And finally, you'll have a little conclusion. Often people call this the boilerplate, where you have a short paragraph about your organization and your history and your involvement with food issues or any other important information about your organization you want to provide. So that is the press release. You want to send that out actually on the day of your event. And we'll go over the timeline momentarily. At the top of press release, you say for immediate release. That lets the media know that they can publish the story immediately. If you decide you want to send an embargoed release, so you want to send your press release ahead of time, ahead of the event that's happening, you can say embargoed until X time instead of immediate release. But it's a better idea just to keep it simple and send it out on the day of your event. And a good headline is important. Make sure the headline is catchy. Okay, for both the media advisory and the press release, you're going to want to follow up with a phone call. It's best to send those items in by email and then follow up by phone. Okay, so now we'll talk about the timeline for pitching. So October 24th is Food Day. It's coming up really soon. Right now is a good time to be developing your message, your hook, your media list, your media advisory, and your press release. You're going to want to knock those out as soon as possible. Some people like to use Food Day to send a letter to the editor campaign. That's what that LTE is, writing a personal letter to your local newspaper about a food issue that is important to your town. That can be another great way to bring attention to your event and your food issues, and we talk about that more in detail in the media guide. That can't really be a promotional piece for your event, but it is still a good tool to raise awareness about an issue. This is also a good time to pitch a feature story, like if there's a magazine in your town, that might be, like this week, I guess, is the time to maybe do something like that. But other than that, you're going to want the media advisory maybe 5 days ahead of time. 3 to 5 days ahead of time is what we do here at CSPI, so maybe about October 20th. Then you're going to call to follow up the next day on the media advisory, the 21st. And that's, if you get a hold of the journalist you're trying to reach, that's a great opportunity to see if you can answer any questions about the event, make a personal invitation to them to come and see if there's anything you can do to facilitate that. And maybe they're not sure about being able to attend, but you can offer them an interview over the phone with any key players, or maybe you can just answer questions for them over the phone, even if they can't come. And then the press release on the day of, even for journalists that can't make it to your event, they can use your press release to write a story. So making sure the press release says everything you need to say about your event in a orderly and compelling manner is a really important facet of all of this. So we have a little press kit for you on foodday.org/resources. We have a sample media advisory, which you can download and then edit to your heart's content. We have a sample press release that kind of shows you, it has a little bit of boilerplate about Food Day nationally, so some information about the national campaign, so then you can just enter in your local details. So that should make it pretty easy. We also have other items you might want to pass along to the journalists you're targeting, along with the media advisory or the press release, such as the recipe cards, a one-pager, maybe the one-pager about Food Day in schools if it's a school event. Any other, just a little bit more background information, a little bit more visual information makes the story more real to the person being pitched. Because journalists are pitched all the time, all day long, and so you have to do whatever you can to make your story stand out and be compelling. So all of that stuff is online for you guys to use. We have a few bullet points here about what to do for you, advice for you or your spokesperson if you do become the subject of an interview. But I'm not going to go through these right now, but you can check out these slides later. I will say, I just want to say a few more words about pitching your story, and then I'll talk about social media. So in addition to print media, there's broadcast media, right? That's TV and radio. So those are both, don't discount them. Those are equally worthy outlets to pursue. Think about your local TV news and your local radio. For TV, it's maybe even easier than pitching to print. You just call and ask for the news assignment desk. And you can tell the person staffing that desk, that person, it's their job to get all the incoming news, like what's going on in your town. And so you can talk about your event, find out the exact individual reporter or producer to connect with, and get their contact information for that. So it's not actually that hard to pitch to TV. And definitely call in the morning. That's more effective. It's easier to reach them. Call, leave a message, call again, but don't be persistent but not pushy. That's the rule. And then for radio, same thing. Call the news assignment desk. You can just dial the general number and be connected to the person that might be covering your story, or at least get contact information. So it's definitely worthwhile reaching out to TV and radio as well. And another tiny word about radio is that often local radio stations will run free PSAs, public service announcements, for nonprofits. At least when I lived in a small town and I worked for a nonprofit, we used this all the time. It was wonderful. And so our radio station would let us run 30-second PSAs. Like, we would write a paragraph for them about maybe an event we were having, and then they would have one of their reporters record it, and they'd run it every hour or so for a couple weeks. It was great. I mean, it's free advertising. So ask about that. I recommend that strategy for sure. Okay. So social media, real quickly, we're looking at Food Day's social media properties. This year we're on Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, which are probably the 4 main ones, and they each serve a different purpose, and I'm not going to get into all the details now. But if you are on these networks as well, please connect with us. Please send us information about your event. If you tweet your event at us, we'll retweet it. Happy to help. You can also look at them for examples of how you might use these networks to promote your own event. And Twitter is actually a great tool for promoting your event, but also pitching. A lot of journalists are on Twitter, and so maybe if they're not responding by email, try to tweet at them, because they're probably receiving fewer tweets than emails. And for now, it's just another little way to get in there and try to get their attention. I have successfully pitched stories to journalists using Twitter, and I'm really proud of that, and you can do that too. Yeah, and also blogs. Don't forget about blogs when you're thinking about outlets to pitch to. Lots of towns have local food blogs, local education blogs, and don't discount those people. Include them with a personal invitation to your event, because a story about your event on a popular local blog can be just as important as a story in the newspaper. Nowadays, that is the case. Okay, and I promised Catherine I would talk about Thunderclap. Thunderclap is a really cool automated Twitter application where basically we'll be suggesting a tweet about Food Day, and people will sign up with their Twitter accounts, agreeing that that tweet can be deployed to their account all at the exact same time on October 24th. And basically, it's just an amazing way to cover social media with your message. And lots of organizations have used it really effectively in the past, because we really want the Food Day message to get to everyone. So we will send out information about that pretty soon, and you guys can get on board. So I think that's everything.
Great. Thank you so much, Claire. Now I'm going to turn it over to Tim Stansky, who is the lead on the media team for Food Day Massachusetts. And I'm just going to give him control here. All right, Tim, you can take it away.
Thanks, ladies. Hi, everyone. I'm going to share with you our social media game plan that we built this year upon the spawn that we built last year. So if I can make sure I can advance down. Here we go. So go back up for a second. If you look at the screen on the visual, the big blue cog at the bottom, we utilize our blog as our center point for our media. And we look at media as earned coverage, outreach, crowdsourced content on our blog. We look at that as our town square. So that's a town square where we can unify the regional identities of our state, and that's everything from school programs to an opportunity for rural producers, urban farmers, to the hipsters and the university crowd in our cities across Massachusetts. So we're a pretty diverse state, and we look at the blog as a platform where everyone can gather. And the blog feeds into the Food Day national website, which is great because we don't have the bandwidth or capacity to handle event listings and have the great images and content that the national site has. So we look at it as being an affiliate, and the blog is really a powerful platform for us. We then integrate our blog with social media and hopefully earn some word of mouth off of social media retweets and posts, and with the eventual goal of having some earned media that will also capitalize and hopefully coincide with some of our media outreach. So you can see an image on the screen. This is a blog from our most recent blog back on the 27th of September. That's where we invite bloggers to contribute their content. The blogging platform allows us to minimize our administrative time in creating the content. It's highly shareable, and the blog can weave to our social media networks and from our social media networks, having a tweet or a post direct people to our blog. So here's where our call-outs and name dropping and guest blog mentions and visuals help share and define. This is a screenshot from over the weekend. So our social media looking for word of mouth. This was, I believe, maybe Saturday or Sunday. We've got someone, a chef at one of the farms just outside of Boston who's very active in social media, giving us a mention here, and then us getting, exposure to 8 more people on top of that, and the viral sharing here. And then as this person is looking for more information from that chef, she's excited. And I believe this woman in turn gave us a like on Facebook. Here we've got a retweet from this crowdfunding innovation Twitter account saying, okay, back to Harvard Square Roots for Food Day mass event on October 24th, and then giving the Harvard Square Business Association a mention on Twitter. And that's certainly looking for them to give a reciprocal retweet to their following. And at the bottom you can see Green City Growers promoting someone's blog on our site, again, using social media to direct and build our blog traffic. We're playing in 4 social networks: Facebook, Twitter. We finally got a Pinteresta this year. I was really campaigning for one last year. And we actually built in a Flickr account that is linked onto our blog for participants to upload photos and images, because we know they're very, very compelling and highly shareable. So that's the way that our cogs fit together. Here's an example of last year on the earned media and outreach, where we did an article the week before Food Day that gave a mention to a project that I'm very fond of and head in Harvard Square with the Harvard Square Business Association, and co-promotion with Yelp in creating this 20-mile challenge, asking restaurants to source menu ingredients within 20 miles. So we've got a few things up our sleeve for this year to build even further upon that. And again, coupling our outreach with PR lists and media contacts, we look at it as cogs that can feed into each other and function on their own. So my advice to you, if you're leading a media team in your state, you've got no budget, plenty of volunteers, find as many free resources as you can, plant your crops, and hope that they, some seeds catch root. Certainly wind, water, and fertilizer help, and manage your earned media expectations. If you could ideally wish for an article in the Wednesday food section of your major daily newspaper, great, but if you don't get it, there's plenty of more media voice out there to get through social media, through blogging. And to that point of blogging, share the harvest, invite everyone to the table to blog. You may have people with different perspectives on food nutrition and so forth, so long as they're in line with Food Day's mission to support healthy, affordable, and sustainable foods. We invite them to the table, and we've created our own Twitter account that feeds into the national, supporting the national efforts. I did publish a blog on SlideShare last year on how I built our blog and our Gmail accounts and so forth. And there's a URL right here that you can look at the presentation on SlideShare. That concludes my presentation on Massachusetts plan.
Thank you so much, Tim. Well, at this point, if anyone has questions for us or questions for Tim about all the things you just saw, or if you'd like us to go back to a slide, let us know at this point. Or you can take the opportunity to tell us about what you're planning, see if there's, if you're up, coming against any challenges, if we can help you, or just, give us an update where you're from, what you're planning, and how you're planning to approach the media. So we have a question here from Ken Boss. Thanks for joining, Ken. What was the link again for the national media announcement? So that link was foodday.org/press_releases. And we can go back to that slide here to show everyone. Way back at the beginning. So the sample media advisory and press release are available on the resources page, but you can find those national press releases at foodday.org/press_releases. Also, if you're on the home page of foodday.org, you can just go straight to the news tab on the top navigation, and you'll see press releases, updates, webinars, and things that are upcoming. So a follow-up from Ken, if you want to include your event in national releases, who'd we notify? I think the best way would be to email foodday@cspinet.org, and I'll type that email address in for everybody. So we would need to know the 5 W's that Claire mentioned. Who's organizing it, who's attending, what are the details, where, when, and why, so that we can include it in any of our press releases or maybe on social media. So we won't be issuing press releases for every state in the country, but we try to keep in mind where the most interesting events are, so in case we get calls from reporters or other people who want to cover Food Day locally, we can direct them to organizers. So do go ahead and send us an email at foodday@cspinet.org with the contact information for you, as well as the details of your event, and we'll keep that in a list of the most exciting, interesting events happening around the country. So we have another question from a nutrition educator who works with schools in Prince George's County, Maryland. She says 3 of the schools that I work with will be participating in the National Apple Crunch activity. Do you have any tips or best practices to make this event really fabulous and get positive media attention? Well, thank you for asking that question, and it's awesome that you all are participating in the Big Apple Crunch. For those of you who don't know, New York City and the Mayor's Office of New York City came up with this activity in 2012, and they had about 400,000 people crunching into an apple at the same time on Food Day. And we got some really great photos from those events that included kids and school groups and campus groups and hospitals and all kinds of people getting involved in the Apple Crunch. So one big thing is to remember to document, to take photos, tweet about it on the day, get some excitement going on Twitter. Join us for the Big Apple Crunch on 10/24 at whatever time you're deciding to do it. And if there's anybody sponsoring the Apple Crunch, or in some cases, markets or grocery stores are donating apples for Apple Crunches, see if they can help out with some media or press release as well, and just let them know that you're planning to promote it. For example, in DC, the Whole Foods Market is going to be donating apples for a Capital Crunch in all the DC public schools, and that's through Growing Healthy Schools Week run by DC Greens. So they're working together to sort of promote this activity. And we also have it on our national map so people can find it. Do you have anything else to add to that, Claire?
That's all really good. And I would just add that anyone doing an apple crunch with school children, that's a really amazing visual. You're going to, like, think of, I would try to quantify how many kids are involved with this so that you have that number. Like maybe it's 300 elementary school students. Be specific. And that is a great visual to pitch if you or your team are going to be doing the outreach themselves. It's a great idea to try to get anyone donating the apples to do their own media, because anyone doing the donating, it's in their own interest to drum up media as well. But for you guys, that's going to make such a good photo or video. Make sure you yourselves have a photographer on site, amateur. At worst, just get someone with a camera that can document this, because just the thought of maybe 50 11-year-olds crunching into an apple is a great image that really counteracts the narrative that kids aren't eating healthy. You're really proving that idea wrong. So that is a really compelling story to me, and make sure to document it.
And we'd love for you to send us the details of your Apple Crunch to foodday@cspinet.org, because we're also compiling a list of all of the cities and towns that are participating in Apple Crunches around the country. And we'd love to compile photos and video, if we can, from those Apple Crunches after Food Day. So yeah, send us an email too and let us know the details of your event. We have another question from Eliza in the Lehigh Valley of Pennsylvania. She asks, do you have any suggestions for increasing Facebook likes and shares? And she's invited everyone she knows to like the page, but hasn't seen growth despite teasers and pictures. So I'm going to let Claire kind of handle this one, and then maybe Tim as well, if you've had any luck with certain strategies for increasing Facebook likes and shares.
Yeah, so building a Facebook presence is something that you work on over time, and it's difficult to get a spike in likes rapidly. But it's more about having a regular, stable presence and you keep putting out content regularly, at least once a day, maybe a couple times a day, but not more than 3. But it sounds like you're doing all the right things, putting up pictures, putting up teasers. Make sure you put up a picture with every post, because pictures are promoted on Facebook. Facebook shows posts with pictures to more people. You also want to make sure that the text you include with the picture is short and very engaging, like even shorter than the length of a tweet, actually. And you might want to ask questions to engage your readers, link to important information, like maybe your events, different events pages on foodday.org or any other relevant sites, and engage with anyone that comments as well. And if you do just do all of those things consistently, and your likes will steadily rise.
I would chime in and suggest that you celebrate other like-minded organizations' content. I saw something today, I believe my colleague Sarah did this on the Food Day Mass Facebook page, talked about blog on the local, one of the two NPR stations here in Boston. There's a blog on is new quinoa or something like that. So it promoted food-related content, PR affiliate in Boston on our page, and I saw saw some ripples online virally. So it's celebrating other people's content and highlighting them, and conversely, that's going to create some interest in, by showing support, you will get support.
So we have another question from Steve Funk, who wants to just know a little bit more about Thunderclap.
Yeah, so I'll just go over that briefly. Thunderclap is an application online for Twitter. So you have to have a Twitter account to participate. And any organization can start one. I believe it's free. And basically, Food Day will run it this time, and we're going to decide on a tweet, which will be a short statement, and it will probably say something like, I support Food Day because I care about getting kids cooking, or something like that. Very short, maybe a link to foodday.org. And basically, anyone that has a Twitter account can go to thunderclap.com and they can sign up and say that they promise. Basically, it will involve, you have to give Thunderclap access to your account, which sounds scarier than it is. Like anytime you tweet from a news site, for example, you're giving an application your login information temporarily so that they can post the tweet from their server, rather than you posting your own tweet on twitter.com. And so Thunderclap is just like that. Basically, you'll log in one time with your Twitter information, and you will click that you agree that the tweet that we're going to specify, that you'll be able to see, that you agree that that tweet can be posted from your Twitter account at noon on October 24th. And it's just a way to blanket the internet with a cohesive statement about Food Day.
Great, thanks. Cecilia writes, are there any free Food Day promotional materials available? And if so, how can I get some from my elementary school in Arkansas? And Cecilia, yes, we still do have available materials. Those include brochures, recipe cards, stickers, and posters. And if it's a school, we also have a nutrition toolkit in both English and Spanish that was developed with Chop Chop magazine. And it's about a 4-page insert that has how to read a nutrition label, some recipes for kids, and how to think critically about nutrition. And we'd be happy to send you some of those. You can register your event at the MAP site, so foodday.org/host_and_event. And if you register, you'll receive a confirmation email with the email you put in. And that has a link to the order form for materials. So immediately after you register your event, you should be able to find that link in your confirmation email to order some free promotional materials. And we'd be very happy if you use those at your event. If you're having any trouble with the survey or can't find the link, you can email us at foodday@cspinet.org. Julie Dias, who's having an event in Evansville, in Indiana, which sounds really awesome, is wondering what time does the Apple Crunch actually happen. And it's been adapted in various locations. I think New York City does it at noon, and DC public schools will be doing it at 10 a.m. just because of the timing of lunch in some of their elementary schools. So it's up to you, but I guess we could say noon nationally.
Yeah.
So if there's still a possibility of changing the time or choosing a time, it seems like noon on Food Day, October 24th, will be a good one. Key hashtags. Jenna, great question. So we're using hashtag FoodEd, as she mentioned, for our food education campaign, and hashtag Food Day 2013. Hashtag Eat Real is a good one.
Yeah, and so those are great for the campaign nationally. If you're promoting your own event, it's a really good idea to hashtag keywords that will trigger people in your own community. So say you live in Denver, you're going to want to say hashtag Denver, hashtag CO for Colorado, and then talk about your event. And hashtags are really just keywords for Twitter and Facebook, and when you use them, that helps flag the event for people that are tuning into those hashtags. And using those are also a good way to get onto community calendars for your community. Because there are a lot of accounts on Twitter that cover local events, and when they see things, when the people running those accounts see events that are posted about their town, they'll often retweet them. And so that's just another thing, your local hashtag.
What about people using hashtag Apple Crunch?
That's a good idea. Yeah, I mean, lots of individual events will have their own hashtag. For example, I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people use hashtag Apple Crunch, or like there's any individual festival might have a hashtag. Like the festival in Savannah probably has its own hashtag.
Yeah.
And you can feel free to create your own hashtag. There are infinity hashtags just waiting to be invented. So you're definitely welcome to invent your own as well.
And I'll mention, too, that we have a page on our website, foodday.org/letsgetcooking. And one thing we're encouraging folks to do is to hold cooking classes with kids on Food Day and use the hashtag Let's Get Cooking. So check out our page, foodday.org/Let's Get Cooking, and you can see more about that initiative. So if you're already doing cooking classes with youth, feel free to go ahead and register them on our map and use the hashtag. So let's see if there's some more comments or questions here. So we have a question about Tim's presentation. Can we see his bit.ly link again? And we will go ahead and go back to Tim's slide. I believe that was for the blog.
It's on SlideShare.
Let's see. Oh, here we go. So it's bit.ly/FoodDayMA Media Game Plan. So you can see the slides there. Jenna asks, is there a separate registration or map for Let's Get Cooking other than events? No, actually, you can register your Let's Get Cooking events just directly on the Food Day map. But if you're tweeting about them or using social media, you should use the hashtag Let's Get Cooking so we can track those.
And you should use Let's Get Cooking in the title of your event as well, so that we can know right off the bat that your event is relating to food education.
Yeah. Debbie, thanks for writing in about your events in Lawrenceville, New Jersey. The family cooking class sounds great, and we'd love for you to register that as a Let's Get Cooking event. So again, you can go to the map, foodday.org/host-an-event, and put Let's Get Cooking in the title of your event and use the hashtag on Food Day. Any other comments or questions from the audience? So Eliza from Pennsylvania was wondering if anyone else on the call has Facebook pages for their event. And so if you do, you can type in that you have a Facebook page. You can even send a link if you want. We do encourage people, if they would like to have their own Facebook pages, you can actually log into the Food Day website using a Facebook account, and then you can track RSVPs on your Facebook page through Nation Builder. So that's kind of a fancy tool. If you want to log in to foodday.org with your Facebook account, you should be able to track who RSVPs on Facebook, and it'll link to your event page on our national map. You can also add the link for your Facebook event just directly in the event description when you put it on the map, and then people can go visit your social media site when they're searching for your event. As for the email, Debbie wrote in, can you show that email again to get posters, et cetera, for your events? That would be, you can email foodday@cspinet.org. You should see that in your chat box now. And you should actually receive an order form for the materials when you register an event. So if you look back at your confirmation email, you'll find a link to order materials in that email. Great. Well, so a couple people wrote in about their Facebook pages. Philadelphia has a Food Day Greater Philadelphia Facebook page. That's Myrna Jordan. In Evansville, Food Day on Facebook, Food Days on Facebook, and also in Umpqua Valley Food Day. So yeah, it looks like Food Day Texas also has a page. Yeah, a lot of the folks on the call already have Facebook pages. All right, we have another question here. So what are you looking at as far as hooks for newsletter and blog content that we can share with you all? So Jenna, I'm assuming you're asking sort of about what information do we need from you in order to promote via newsletter or blog. And I think just the 5 W's there will be what we need to start with. And any social media links to your the link to your event on our map, as well as any social media sites that are affiliated with your event. And you can send those to foodday@cspinet.org. If that didn't answer your question, you can write in and let me know. As far as sharing good news stories, she says, to help promote them. Yeah. So yeah, we'd be happy if you want to send, a little boilerplate about your organization plus what's going on for your event. We can help to promote that and talk with you about possible blog posts or social media. So send that to foodday@cspinet.org. All right, any more questions or comments before we wrap up? All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining, and we'll be sharing the link to these slides as a PDF, as well as the recording of the call. We'll send it around to everyone who registered, so you should receive that within a week. And we also post all of our archived webinars at foodday.org/webinars. If you want to share this with people who missed it, please do. And spread the word about our Facebook social media sites. Our social media sites, including Facebook. Here they are again: Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram. And connect with us if you haven't already. Thanks so much to Tim Stansky with the Media Committee at Massachusetts Food Day. And we're really looking forward to seeing what happens in Massachusetts. So thanks for joining us.
Bye, everyone.
All right, thanks all. We'll end the webinar here and send out a follow-up email shortly. Let us know if you have any questions. You can email us at foodday@cspinet.org.